The story behind why Will Smith declined the chance to portray Superman is fascinating and filled with what-ifs that could have reshaped superhero cinema. After more than 10 years dominated by the grim and somber tone of the Snyderverse, James Gunn's recent Superman film brought a fresh wave of joy and charisma to the DC universe, rejuvenating interest in the Man of Steel. While this new adaptation is the 7th live-action rendition of Superman, excluding the 1940s serials and appearances where he wasn't the main character, it has succeeded in offering an original and uplifting take on the iconic hero, even if it doesn't quite reach the legendary status of Richard Donner's groundbreaking 1978 classic. Contrast this with the 2006 film Superman Returns, directed by Bryan Singer, which served more as a nostalgic tribute to the earlier Donner-Reeve movies and acted as a direct sequel to Superman 2 from 1980. Although it was not without its flaws, some felt Singer overplayed the Christ-like symbolism associated with Superman, the film still delivered memorable action scenes and a commendable performance by Brandon Routh in the lead role. Despite this, Superman Returns didn't get a sequel, not because it flopped outright. It grossed a respectable $391 million worldwide, but was burdened by an exorbitant $232 million production budget, meaning Warner Brothers likely saw no profit. When key players started backing out of sequel plans, the project unraveled, paving the way for Zack Snyder's 2013 reboot Man of Steel, which notably disappointed Richard Donner. Meanwhile, Brandon Routh, originally poised for stardom, gradually slipped out of the Hollywood spotlight. Given this backdrop, it might have been a wise move for Will Smith to pass on the Superman role. Will Smith's career has had its share of ups and downs, some of them quite public and perplexing. If you followed his trajectory after the infamous Oscar slap incident, or listened to his recent forays into music, you might wonder whether he's navigating his path with full clarity. Among his more curious career decisions is a remarkable habit of turning down roles that later turned into massive hits. For example, he famously declined the part of Neo in The Matrix, a decision he later revisited with a playful music video insertion of himself into the film. He also passed on Christopher Nolan's Inception because the concept didn't click for him, and almost missed out on Men in Black, before Steven Spielberg personally intervened. This knack for saying no to major projects highlights an unusual pattern in Smith's choices. The Superman role presented a complex challenge for Smith, beyond just taking another high-profile superhero part. In an interview with MTV News back in 2008, he openly explained his reluctance, saying, "The last Superman I was offered, the script came, and I was like, there is no way I'm playing Superman, because I had already done Jim West in Wild Wild West, and you can't be messing up white people's heroes in Hollywood. You mess up white people's heroes in Hollywood, you'll never work in this town again." This candid statement touches on deep industry dynamics and societal perceptions about race and legacy characters in Hollywood. The context behind Smith's warning involves the 1999 movie Wild Wild West, which was widely panned by critics and audiences alike. While it's probably an oversimplification to say the film failed solely because Smith messed up white people's heroes, the statement wasn't made lightly. Director Barry Sonnenfeld recalled in his memoir that Robert Conrad, the original star of the 1960s TV series The Wild Wild West, even threatened violence if a black actor portrayed Jim West. Such prejudices, unfortunately, reflect systemic issues in casting and story ownership. Yet, the film's downfall was also attributed to a lack of on-screen chemistry between Smith and Kevin Kline, as well as a general absence of heart and purpose, as noted by critics like Terrence Rafferty of The New Yorker. Considering all this, the question remains, what if Will Smith had accepted the lead role in Superman Returns? On one hand, he probably made the right call given how the movie turned out. Although not disastrous, it was largely forgotten and didn't elevate Smith's stature as one might expect from a star of his caliber. On the other hand, Smith's casting could have rewritten history. He would have been the very first black Superman on the big screen, an enormously significant milestone. Beyond representation, his star power far outweighed that of Brandon Routh at the time, which could have boosted the film's box office performance, altered its critical reception, and perhaps influenced the trajectory of Superman's cinematic portrayal for the years to come. Interestingly, Hollywood has been exploring black Superman projects more recently. Two prominent developments were in the works. One, a film produced by J.J. Abrams with a script by acclaimed writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, and the other, an HBO Max series starring Michael B. Jordan. Henry Cavill, who famously portrayed Superman before, even publicly supported these initiatives, emphasizing that Superman's identity extends well beyond racial boundaries. However, in light of James Gunn and Peter Safran taking the helm of the DC Universe with a fresh, cohesive narrative strategy, these projects now appear unlikely to be realized. Had Will Smith agreed to play Superman back in 2006, he'd have made groundbreaking cinematic history and shifted the path of the Man of Steel's on-screen journey. Instead, Superman Returns remains a well-executed but largely forgotten chapter in the superhero's legacy. So here's the provocative question. Was Will Smith's refusal a missed opportunity for Hollywood to embrace diversity in its iconic heroes sooner? Or did it highlight the complex, sometimes discriminatory barriers that actors of color face in leading roles? And what does this say about the industry's willingness to evolve? Share your thoughts. Do you agree with Smith's reasoning, or do you think he should have taken the risk? Let the conversation begin.